What's up, everybody? My name is T, and I'm excited to have y'all back with us for another episode of Table Talk.
So I made a transition from my secular profession, into full-time ministry here at Concord Church. So I'm super excited for the opportunity and just to continue growing to higher heights and deeper depths in Christ, and serving the Lord. So yeah, I made that transition, man. It was a long time coming for sure, a few months coming, but I'm excited. So, I just started coming to Concord sometime last year. So people like Tiara and other leaders in other spaces have been influential and instrumental in just keeping me involved and keeping me, using my talents. And, here we are today. So I'm super excited for sure for what God is doing.
Yeah, we're about to work it out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know about y'all, or some of us work in ministry, and some of us do ministry in the quote unquote secular world. But I never ever thought I would work at a church. I never, if I put a million careers down on a paper of what I would be doing, I never thought I would be working at a church. It's so funny, God has plans, you have plans, and God be like, nah. Yeah. What about you, Dre? Did you ever think that?
I'm a church baby, so I wanted to. It was around 2015 when I felt that push, that God was possibly leading me into full-time ministry. I was already doing ministry, so I was what you would consider to be bivocational. So I was working in warehousing and logistics, married, kids, then preaching and teaching on Sundays. And then when I found out that churches had a thing called a staff, and that those churches were blessed by God to free people up financially to do ministry full time. And then when I felt that burden, more so the burden of becoming a pastor, serving the vision of another pastor, I was like, yeah, I want to work at a church. So 2015, November of 2015 to be specific, that's when I felt that push, but it didn't happen until April of 2019 when I stepped in the ministry full time.
Yeah.
It's a big period, right? That's a big gap.
Yeah.
So I had to wait.
Yeah. Me and Asia were walking over, and she was like, I didn't know y'all be here all the time every day.
I walked in, I'm saying it's Monday. Everybody's here. I did not know that people be at the church throughout the week full time, but hey.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you.
Sold out for the Lord.
Yeah, no. There was a waiting season for me too, in terms of asking him, Lord, I want to be doing something where I feel like I'm walking in purpose every day of my life. And it was a waiting season. And I had to, I tried during that time to fill it with other things. So I was like, I got this job over here, and I work with kids, y'all, too. And kids, I love them, but they wear you out. So it was hard too to get up every day and go to do something that I was just like, Lord, I want to do something else. I feel like I'm being pulled to something else. But in that waiting season, he really showed me so many things about myself that set me up to be in the space I'm in now. I had to kind of go through that. Did you feel like that when you kind of were going through that waiting period, like you were learning and growing in certain spaces?
Most definitely. And I used to feel a way about it, a lot of just dissatisfaction, a lot of discontentment, a lot of frustration, a lot of moments where I felt like I was inadequate because what I hoped for was not happening, right? And what I had to do and what the Lord taught me in that season as I look back in retrospect is similar to what you said. I had to find an outlet for the things that I knew I was purposed to do without having the full manifestation, if you will, of what I know God was leading me to, if I'm making sense. Hopefully I was clear. And so I had to realize that I can still walk in purpose while I'm waiting for the thing, if that makes sense, the bigger thing, the bigger dream, the bigger vision of what I'm hoping that God will do in my life. But yeah, it wasn't it wasn't easy because waiting is not easy. And so what the Lord had to really teach me was that it's worth the wait. But I had to keep working though while I was waiting. And that's the thing. So yeah, that's how I would articulate just the season that I was in. Yeah.
I think I gotta agree with you. You just kind of put illustration on what I was feeling as I was going through like my professional endeavors. I dealt with a lot of promotions, right? And so I was going higher and higher in corporate America up to the senior manager level, but I wasn't getting that fulfillment. But also as you get higher into those rooms, you do see just how wicked it really is, right? And so for so many people around the church, they would wonder like, well, why is Benny always here? You know, why is he always doing all these things in all these areas? This was my outlet, right? While I was waiting for God to show up and like move me to where I was supposed to be, I just knew like if I just kept serving him, I would be okay. And this was really how I got my give back, right? Because I couldn't always say what I wanted to say. I couldn't always do what I wanted to do in those moments and in those rooms. But this is kind of how I got my licks back, right? Well, I don't really agree with what y'all talking about and what the agendas y'all trying to force people to be a part of. So when I get over here, I'm gonna go all out on this side of things, right? Yeah. And so while waiting, just continuing to work and just continuing to serve, I love how one pastor put it, right? In the Bible, it talks about, cast your net over here, right? So just continue to cast your net over here. Continue sowing your time and talents and energy into the kingdom, serving others, and God will continue to bless you while you're in that waiting season. So, I'm a living witness for sure, but that's definitely, I echo that for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting that y'all said that, because I have a totally different take on all of it. Because for me, in my waiting season, about a year ago, it was I started going through money problems, and I was trying to work full time and then working on the weekends, working 7 days a week. And then I just always was so mad and frustrated all the time. And at this point, I wasn't coming to church. I wasn't have that strong relationship with God that I do now. And I just kept working and working myself, and then quitting one side job, going to the next side job, was working at nighttime as a server, and all the stuff that was going on there was just crazy. And my grandma had told me, she's like, you keep saying you have money problems, but she was like, I think you really just need to find God and get closer to God, and some of those problems will go away. And yeah, grandma is always speaking facts, but it was just, I was like, okay, kind of blowing her off about it. And then it just got to the point where I blew up one night, at one of my side jobs, and I said, I'm not going back there. And at that point, I actually had time to actually start going to church and then start coming to the table and really just start serving. I started volunteering outside of the church, and then, doing activities here inside the church. And now I'm at the point where it's I don't even think about money or anything. It's those problems really just disappeared. And then with my full-time job, it was I really love what I do, except I just, at that point, I wasn't striving to grow within the company. It was kind of I don't know, I'm just feeling whatever and just waiting. And then all of a sudden this new opportunity opens up to me, just falls in my lap. Wasn't looking for it or anything. And it's wow, my waiting period was definitely a different experience than what you guys were, because it was finding God and then just being happy with what I have and not stressing about money and really getting closer to him. And now it's this totally different season for me. So
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get in there, T?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember being a teacher. My 20s are a blur. I'm aging myself. But I was in a space where I guess similarly didn't even know that I was not content. I mean, I didn't know that I wasn't fulfilled, because I worked so much, and it was you get out of college, you work to pay your bills, and you work to pay your bills, you sprinkle a little fun in there, and I didn't even know to strive for contentment or fulfillment. It was just I know these kids need me. I like the kids, they were fun, you know, but I didn't even realize like that I desired more until I really started to get into my word and realize like there's more out here in versus just this going to work and doing something to say, you know, and to have money to pay my bills and to, it wasn't like I was doing anything that wasn't good, but it was just not, it wasn't my lane. But I didn't even realize that until I started to walk with God and was like, there's more to this. There's more to this thing called life. So I don't know. That just really reminded me of that space where I just was like, not even searching for something more. I just was kind of going through the motions and filling my time with, when I did feel like bats of like, ooh, I'm stressed out at work or something's missing here, I would just do what most 20-year-olds do. Something in Dallas called Wings Day. No. Shout out to, okay, I'm not gonna shout nobody out, but.
I feel you, T. It's easy to kind of get lost in that scurrying, right? That's what I kept thinking about when you were talking and confusing busyness with productivity. It's like you just busy and you just scurrying. You're not really on purpose, right? Or really fulfilling your inner man, right? We forget we got the outer man. We also got the inner man too, though. So I love that you mentioned that because you're right. We can't just get lost in the scurry and be in such a hurry to scurry. We ain't doing nothing but scurrying, boy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What would y'all say to the person who is trying to figure out, like you, what their more is? What would you say to that person?
I would say, I love how my friend here put it when she said she had to find God, right? Because all of us wasn't born on the pew, right? Some of us was born on the pew.
Sure.
Some of us are, you know, either too dumb to find God or we too smart to find God, right? But I think that's the critical first step. You have to listen to him, and he's not going to speak in shouts. He's not going to speak in screams, right? He's going to speak in those whispers and those moments in his word through other people. You have to find God, right? Because there's what you think, right? But then, you know, his thoughts are higher than ours. His ways are higher than ours, right? It's what he thinks and what he sees for you. And ultimately, that's what you're going to want, you know, as opposed to what you think you need. And so that's what I would say first, right? Get into a space where you're confident that you're hearing from God, or at least that you're seeking God, right? He's a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. At least seek him. At least look for him. Some of us maybe not even be looking for him. So that's what you got to start there first. And, you know, I don't want to take it all, but if you guys have anything you want to add to that after you start to seek God.
I would say, if you have something in your head, in your heart, and something on your hands, which could be the desires of God, right? Because he's giving you those desires. And as you become an active participant in the fulfillment of your purpose, and you begin to express those things that are in your head, on your heart, and in your hands, and find a place to put all that stuff back to the outlet, at least what I saw in my life, when I was intentional in doing that before this happened for me, the full-time ministry thing, God started speaking, man. God started sending resources. God started opening doors because I was faithful with the small assignments, which led to the opportunity for greater responsibilities. And that's when that's when God gave me enough discernment to realize, oh, this is what my more is. Because what people need to understand is, when we say we want more, you got to realize that more typically probably don't even have nothing to do with you.
Yep.
The more shouldn't be just about you. It's about, once again, the stuff that's in your head, your heart, and on your hands that you're going to do for the kingdom. And we're not just talking about full-time ministry stuff. Even when the conversation we were having earlier with what you do in your profession, what you're doing for the company that you do it for, I just believe that God can use that to communicate a message to somebody, which could lead to a decision that they may not even know could be a spiritual decision. Or it may have something to do with the improvement of their social or mental health. I don't know. But I think we got to realize that more has a lot to do, if not more, with people outside of ourselves, because God calls us to put the interests of others above our own. And when I tapped into that right there, y'all, I think that's when God really just started moving.
Put the interests of others above your own.
Yeah.
Write that down. Put the interests of others above your own.
Like when you identify what your purpose is, make sure you attach it to that principle.
Yep, that's good.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then I believe things will move forward.
It's really interesting you said that too, because I used to always kind of just me, and always had this like survival mindset. And I'm telling you, like once I started thinking about other people and really started getting out into the community, and I'm like, wow, there's people out here that have it a lot worse. Like I need to be spending my time helping them out and doing what I can to serve the community, and really started giving advice to other young women as well. And afterwards you feel good afterwards. And I wasn't doing it because I'm like, oh, I want something good to happen to me. I just started doing it. And
I think I would speak to kind of what I was speaking to earlier, like people that are in spaces where their lives are so full, just going and doing, and it's very hard to get clarity and to really let God be God, and show up in the creative ways that he wants to and speak to us in the ways that he wants to if everything is so clouded around us. So I'd say start to make space for God. And it's just like pause and take some time to really like learn who you are and learn who God is. And it's really, he wants to talk to you. He wants you to make space for him. And I think, like you said, things just start falling into place. But sometimes the busyness of our lives just gets so crowded in what we have to do versus let me just sit back and really see what God is calling me to do and calling me to engage in. I think a lot of people are in seasons of where they desire more. I think it's the pandemic that where people got to really do what I was just saying, sit down and like sit with themselves and really be like, why am I doing this? Like what we were talking the other day about legacy and like what is this actually going to lead to? So I hope that this conversation helps some people just really have some places to start and be encouraged that if you're even having that conversation with yourself and with God, that's a good start. And we want to see you at the table on April 26th if you're in Dallas, Texas. If not, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's been another episode of the Table Talk. We love you. But what did you say, Benny? We love you, but
We love you, God love you even more. Y'all be blessed.
see ya.